Hello, witches. Happy Halloween. Happy Samhain. We are now finally at the witches' new year. Today is October 31st. Samhain is our largest Sabbath. Halloween is my favorite holiday. They both fall on October 31st, but as I have been telling you, witches, all throughout October, Samhain and Halloween are not the same holiday. They share similar things, but they are drastically different. Halloween is what you see now: trick-or-treating, parties, bobbing for apples, dressing up in costumes. Samhain is the time to honor our loved ones, ancestors, and pets that have passed away before us. Samhain is the witch's time. It is the time when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest, so it's easier to communicate with loved ones that have predeceased us, and of course our pets that have predeceased us also. Finally, we're here right now at 6 p.m. It's a little bit after 6 p.m. We are now at Samhain today on October 31st. I'm so excited. I just cannot hide it. I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. I love Samhain. I love Halloween. We are also now in the season of Scorpio, so that means for me, my birthday after today is 13 days away. Yeah, so I'm pretty much a autumn witch. I am pretty happy witch, and you should be too. Halloween, Samhain belongs to us. Halloween, Samhain belongs to witches. Witches are powerhouses. Witches are powerhouses. For these past 2 days, the 30th and the 29th, I have broadcast live. For these past 2 nights, I have shown you witches 2 rituals. I have the final ritual tonight. On Samhain, the witches' largest Sabbath, the most important day on our calendar. Samhain is the witches' new year. It's a time to start fresh, to start all over again. This is what I call witch's second chance. Witch's second chance. Samhain today on October 31st, 2023. A little bit after 6 p.m. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your evening, interrupting your dinner probably, to join me here live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to stream live on celebrating this most important day on the witch's calendar, Samhain. Now, like I said before, you can celebrate Halloween and Samhain together. You can. You can also do it separately. Like I have been telling you all through October, you can celebrate Samhain anytime in October and just say today, Halloween, for Halloween activities. Because you may not have enough time to celebrate both. That's why I've been telling witches, make sure that you make time, that you give yourself time to celebrate Halloween and Samhain if you choose to do so. You can choose to celebrate one or the other, or both at the same time, if you have time. Only if you have time. If you don't have time, then you have no choice but to choose between Halloween and Samhain. So choose wisely. But we are now here on October 31st. So you have a couple hours before October 31st is over to decide what you're going to do. I personally celebrate Samhain anytime in October because then you have more options. You have more days to choose from to celebrate Samhain, because like I have also told you, Halloween only comes around once a year. Halloween only comes around once a year. You can only celebrate Halloween one time out of the year. But Samhain, you can celebrate Samhain anytime in October. So I want to thank you, witches, for taking time out tonight to join me, High Priestess or Sephinus, here live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for this 3 days of Samhain. If you have been with me for these past 2 days, thank you for that also. Because when you come into the presence of the divine, of an anointed and appointed vessel of the Queen of Witches Hecate, you will have real significant and permanently positive change. You will have real significant and permanently positive change through witchcraft, and of course through your own real world action. So we have today, on October 31st, literally entered a brand new year. Samhain is the witch's new year. The veil between, let me get my water. I'm trying to get my water here. Hold on. That's my water. The veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest. This is when loved ones and pets can freely walk through that veil and come into our world, the world of the living. This is the time, October 31st, when you might see your very first ghost or spirit or an ancestor or a loved one or a pet that has passed away before you. Even if you have noticed, because I have noticed, if you have noticed, like I have noticed, even the date, October 31st, looks spooky. Doesn't it look spooky to you? Doesn't the date itself, October 31st, look a little bit spooky, a little bit scary, a little bit frightening to you? It has a spooky look. October 31st on the calendar has a spooky look to it. It does. It really, really does. It really, really does. Especially on a night like tonight when supernatural activity is at its highest. On this night when Hecate, the Queen of Witches, is at her maximum strength. Tonight when Hecate is at her maximum power. Tonight when witches, you and I, are at our maximum power. Why? Because witches are powerhouses. That's why. Because witches are powerhouses. That's why. Because witches are powerhouses. That's why. So now the crone and her place, her role in Samhain tonight, it marks the time of the goddess in her third triple goddess aspect. Let me say it again. Samhain marks the time of the goddess in her third, in her third triple aspect of the beloved, the wise, and the elderly crone. So, let me tell you a little something. Let me tell you a little something, all right? The crone goddess, Hecate, right now, during Samhain, has been, over the years, before people start to using their common sense, all right? Because we know lots of people don't have very much common sense. Especially those who are so against Halloween, so against Samhain, Christians. That's the truth. So for many years, for many centuries, the crone has been a object of fear, a object of disgust in the world. You know, the crone has been called a hag. If you tell people that you are a witch, they may think of you as a hag. Oh, she's crazy. Oh, he or she is a psycho, because we know that men can also be witches. Men can be witches. So yes, today, October 31st, Samhain, is also celebration for those men who identify as witches, because as we know, there is no such thing as a warlock. There is no such thing as a wizard. A witch is a witch, is a witch, is a witch, regardless of your gender. A witch is a witch. So for many generations, the goddess, the crone, has been an object of fear and of disgust. This was not the way that our pagan ancestors viewed her. This is not the way our pagan ancestors viewed the crone. Our ancestors did not view the crone as something to be feared or something to be disgusted or grossed out about. The crone was always, listen very carefully, witches, the crone was always honored as a woman of power whose vast stores, very carefully listen, whose vast stores of wisdom came with her age. You've heard that before. With age comes wisdom. That's the crone. With age comes wisdom. That's the crone. That's the crone. And of course, the lifelong practice of her skills. The crone, she has compassion with no, listen very carefully, the crone has compassion with no underhanded motive, with no alternative motive. She's not shady, she's not petty, she's not bitchy, she's not catty. That's important to remember about the crone. That's important to remember about the crone. All the knowledge of the maiden and the mother, all the knowledge of the maiden and the mother lives within the crone. All of the knowledge of the maiden, the mother, lives in the crone. That's why the crone is wise in our eyes, because she has lived past the phases of the maiden and of the mother. And the crone has no alternative motives. She's not motivated to get something out of you or to punish you. She's not. Ever. Ever. Okay? The crone is of darkness, especially now in October or right now on Samhain. And she is also associated with winter. After today, October 31st, if you have not already felt or noticed it, it's going to get a lot colder because winter is coming. Winter is coming. The crone is also associated with, and it signifies wisdom, divination, speaking of prophecies, endings. She represents old age. She represents taking a rest, a much needed rest, and secrets. So that means if you tell Hecate something, it stays with Hecate. If you tell her secret, not secret. Why did I say that? If you tell Hecate a secret, that's the word. If you tell Hecate a secret, she will not tell another living soul. It's between you and her. You and her. The colors of the crone is as follows. Of course, it's black because now it gets really dark now faster. So it may get dark now at 4:30 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. Okay? So her color is black, and her symbols that represent the crone are crows, feathers, bones, broomsticks, and dog-colored stones. So if you want to give Hecate food, you can give her dark chocolate. What percentage of dark chocolate? Because I know there are different percentages of dark chocolate. Just ask her what percentage, how much dark chocolate does she want to be in that chocolate bar. Just ask her. That's all you have to do. Just ask her. Just ask Hecate, how much dark chocolate do you want? And if you happen to have any dark stones, she will also take that. Ask Hecate what she wants. Just ask her. Just ask her. So the crone is both a destroyer. She does destroy things. So the crone is definitely a woman that destroys things, and also a woman that heals things. She is the grandmother. The crone is the grandmother. She is the forever womb, the internal womb of rebirth. The internal womb of rebirth is through the crone. Is through the crone. Her cauldron that we use in witchcraft is a deep part of the Samhain, the Samhain. Why did I say that? Oh shit. Why did I say Samhain? Why did I just say Samhain? The hell? I don't know why I said that. I don't know why I said that. You know what? I was talking about that yesterday. That's why. You know why I just said Samhain? Because I was talking to someone yesterday about Samhain and how they were pronouncing it wrong. They kept saying Samhain. That's why I just said Samhain. Even though the right pronunciation is Samhain. Samhain, Samhain, or Samhain. Samhain has three pronunciations. Samhain, Samhain, or Samhain. Three pronunciations. Samhain, Samhain, and Samhain. It is not pronounced Samhain. Like I made this big mistake just now. It's calling it Samhain. No, it's not. So going back to what I said. The cauldron that witches use is a deep part of the Samhain tradition, representing the cauldron represents the cosmic womb. Did you know that? The cauldron represents the cosmic womb in which all things are conceived. Life, death, success, failure, happiness, joy. All those things. All those things are birthed within the cauldron. You know, hold on. So even today, most witches, the modern day witch, wears black to represent the moon in its waning phase. When the moon is waning, that means it's decreasing in size towards new moon. So witches want to represent that by wearing the color black. Because it represents the waning moon that is going towards new moon. So this part of the moon represents the crone side of the triple goddess. Also, our ancestors would wear black when they went to their coven meetings, so they would not be seen at night. Or they would just wear black when they knew that the village thought they were a witch or suspected that they were a witch, and they would wear black at nighttime when they left the house as to not be seen. And they may not have even been witches. They may have just been people who were different, people who had a brain and used their brain and didn't want to be bothered, so they chose not to leave during the daylight hours and just decided that, maybe I should just wait until nighttime. Maybe I should wear something dark like the color black to not be recognized, to not be bothered, to not have people staring at me. So that's why a lot of witches wore black, to not be recognized. That's why lots of women at those times long ago wore black, so that their fellow villagers would not bother them, or glare at them, or whisper at them, or hiss at them when they walk by. So when it comes to Samhain, the word Sabbath spells, the word for us as witches, Sabbath is spelled Sabbath. It's not spelled Sabbah like the Jewish. No. For us as witches, Sabbath is spelled Sabbat. Sabbat. That's how it's spelled. The word Sabbath comes from the Hebrew word Sabbath, which is spelled Sabbath, but they are not the same. It means to rest. Sabbath that we celebrate as a BBAT, it means to rest. To just give yourself a chance to breathe. To give yourself a chance to breathe, witches, because we know that as witches, we very often walk around with a target on our back because we are witches. We do walk around with a target on our back because we're witches. So our Sabbath is holidays that are marked by important turning points of the sun's journey through our wheel of the year. I will say that again. Our Sabbath are holidays that mark important turning points. Oh, hold on a minute. Oh, hold on. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. Give me 2 minutes. Hold on. Give me 1 minute. Another 1 minute. All right, give me just 1 second now. All right, give me a second. Another second. All right, I got it now. I have my laptop open here, so I have my notes, but I did something wrong. And I had to open the file, close the file, and open it again. But I got it now. So our Sabbaths are holidays that mark important turning points of the sun's journey through our wheel of the year. Through our wheel of the year. Samhain is no doubt the most important holiday on our calendar. Today, October 31st, is no doubt the most important day on our calendar. It marks today, Samhain, it marks the end of the third and final harvest. Today, on October 31st, Samhain, it marks the end of the third and final harvest, Samhain. It celebrates the forever cycle of rebirth. Samhain, like I told you, which is, it means summer's end. Samhain means summer's end, the end of summer, the end of summer. Samhain is an Irish word. It is this day, this Sabbath. It divides the year into 2 seasons. Those seasons are winter and summer. So Samhain marks the end of summer and the beginning of winter. Samhain marks the end of summer and the beginning of winter. Even now, you feel it in the air. Even now, you feel that it is just getting a little bit chilly, a little bit cold out there. It's a little chilly. It's a little cold. You need a jacket. You might need a hat or a scarf. You don't need the big jacket right now, but you need something heavier to wear. So when is the end of the summer months and the beginning of the winter months. Samhain is the time to come to terms with death. Samhain is the time to come to terms with death. Something many of us find it's hard to do. Some people are afraid of dying. Some people will do the craziest things. Some people will drink blood of young people in the hope that they will live forever. Some people go in for surgery. Some people drink something or smoke something to stay young forever because they fear death. Witches don't fear death. Real witches greet death as an old friend. Real witches do not fear death. Real witches do not ever fear death. Witches do not ever fear death. But it's a hard thing for a lot of people to accept. Death for lots of people is hard to accept. Real hard. Even though death comes for us all. This does not have to be a physical death, though. This does not have to be a physical death at all. It can be other things that may have been lost throughout the year, such as relationships, jobs, money, friends. Keep in mind that Samhain also happens through the zodiac sign of Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio. Samhain also happens to go through the zodiac sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by the element of water. Scorpio is ruled by the element of water. Water transforms and water changes and water heals. Water is life. Water is life. It washes away, water washes away pain and sadness. Water washes away pain and sadness. Samhain today is a very good time to let go of past hurts and past wrongs. So today, October 31st, is a great time to let go of past hurts and past wrongs. Oftentimes, when people pass away, we have incomplete business with them. You may not have had time to say goodbye. Maybe there was a big argument before that person passed away. Samhain is a great time to reconcile with them, to make peace with them, to finally say your goodbye to them. It could be things you wish you would have said, things you wish you may not, things you could probably take back from what you said. What you can do is you can write your loved one a letter and burn it in the flame of a candle. You can write your loved one a letter and burn it in the flame of a candle. A lot of people lose loved ones and they never get the chance to say goodbye. They never get to make peace with them. They feel sorry. They feel bad. They wish they could have said this. They wish they would not have said that. Samhain today, October 31st, 2023, is a great time to write a letter to your loved one and burn it in the flame of a candle. And if you do have access to their grave, to the cemetery or graveyard where they are buried, you can spread the ashes of that letter on top of their grave and they will receive it. It hurts. Death hurts. It doesn't hurt the person that has passed away, but it hurts the person who is left behind the most. But your loved one would not want you to become a crybaby. There is a big difference from grieving to just being a crybaby. It's a big difference. A big difference. So let's clear up some confusion about Samhain. Let's not get it twisted, okay? For Samhain today, most people know it as Halloween. Yes, today is Halloween. Today is also Samhain. Halloween, Samhain, both fall on October 31st. But they are not the same. If you have not yet watched my 2 broadcasts before today, go back and rewatch it. Go back and read my posts, my tweets about Halloween and Samhain and how they are totally different from one another. So don't get Samhain twisted. Okay? So most people today know Samhain as Halloween. Halloween means Hallow Eve. Hallow evening. Yeah, Hallow evening. So let's a bit of history. So the church, the Christian church, began calling Samhain Michaelmas. I'll spell it for you. Michaelmas. It's spelled Michaelmas. So the church started calling Samhain Michaelmas, the feast of Saint Michael. But Samhain, listen very carefully, Samhain was proven to be too powerful. Oh yes, Samhain was proven to be too powerful. I can't fight Samhain for one saint to fight. Samhain proved to be too powerful for one saint to fight. So it was renamed, so Candlemas, not Candlemas, Michaelmas, the Feast of Saint Michael was changed to the Eve of All Saints, because one saint was not enough to fight Samhain. So the church changed the name to the Eve of All Saints to take on one holiday that is already sacred to thousands of people. Even after the effort of the church to make Samhain unpopular or satanic or demonic, the church decided to make paganism and Samhain into a night of evil spirits. Ooh, evil spirits. Oh, they're coming for your children. They're eating your children. Oh, protect the children. What's about the children? Somebody please think about the children. Oh, please. Oh, stop it. Stop it. You look stupid. You look stupid. So the church decided to make Samhain and paganism into a night filled with evil spirits. When they did this, when the church did this, they began a very successful campaign of creating fear among Christians about Samhain. So these fears have nothing to do with Samhain. All these stereotypes about Halloween, about Samhain, are lies. They are not the truth. They are not the truth. It's just Christians doing what Christians do best, putting their hand on everything. Christians say, oh, we are not part of this world, but yet Christians put their hands, they try to take everything that is in the same world that they claim they are not a part of. If you say, oh, I am in this world, but not of this world, why are you trying to take everything in the world then? That doesn't make sense. That's stupid. That is stupid. Christians say, oh, well, you know, Christians are not part of this world, but they try to get their hands on everything in the world because they're stupid. That's why. And no, I will not apologize for what I just said. It's the truth. Deal with it. Just deal with it. Someone is not or ever was associated with evil. Someone is not or ever was associated with evil, ever. That's a lie created by Christians. Samhain celebrates the triumph of life over death. As witches, we know that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed. That's how we know there is life after death. Energy, me and you witches, cannot be destroyed. It can only be changed. It can only be changed. That's how we know that there is life after death. So let's talk a little bit about the jack-o'-lanterns. Listen, I can't really carve a jack-o'-lantern. I'm not good at it. I'm not an artist. I'm not an artist. I'm really not. But let's get into the story a little bit about the jack-o'-lantern. So the jack-o'-lantern that lights our way when we go trick-or-treating has a story behind that. It comes from a legend about a guy called Stingy Jack, who was a bad person. He was bad as hell. Okay, so the jack-o'-lantern comes from a story about a guy called Stingy Jack who was bad as hell, all right? This guy, Stingy Jack, was so damn bad that when he died, he was rejected from heaven because he's so damn bad. He was sent to hell, right? Where he was not allowed there either. Like, he was too bad for heaven. He was too bad for hell. Like, what the hell? How the hell can you be too bad for heaven and also too bad for hell? Where do you go? I guess you just stay on earth, right? So one way that the story goes is that Jack was tricked by the devil, all right? He was tricked by the devil. And because, no, it goes like this. Jack had tricked the devil. He was not tricked by the devil. It was Jack that tricked the devil, okay? He had tricked the devil, Stingy Jack, because of that, the devil would not let him stay in hell, but instead gave Stingy Jack a hollowed out turnip with a candle inside to light his way back to earth to wander aimlessly for eternity. Before, we used to carve pumpkins. We used to carve turnips. Okay? Pumpkins can grow anywhere on earth except for Antarctica. But before we chose pumpkins to carve, we used to carve faces into turnips. So the devil carved out a turnip for Jack, sent him back to earth to wander the earth forever with only a candle to light his way. I don't know what happens when it rains. I guess Stingy Jack gets to shelter so the candle won't, go out. But he was so bad that heaven did not want him, and hell did not want him either. So our ancestors, our pagans, would carve turnips and place candles aside and place them in their windows and in front of their houses to help Jack and to help other spirits to find their way onto the afterlife, known for us as witches, known as Summerland. We use pumpkins now because they are just simply easier to carve. And you have more space on a pumpkin than you do a turnip. You have more space now on a pumpkin than you do on a turnip. So that's why we use pumpkins. The reason why Halloween colors are orange and black, because orange represents the changing color of leaves. Most leaves in autumn change to the color of orange. And we have black to represent Halloween because the days get shorter. So like I said a few moments ago, it may get dark at 4 o'clock, 4:30. So that's why black and orange represents Halloween colors. Now, why do we go trick-or-treating? When I was growing up, that was my favorite thing about Halloween. I loved to go trick-or-treating. I would go all over Brooklyn, New York. Not from New York. I still live in New York. So we would go all over Brooklyn. If I had it my way, I would probably go all around New York. Oh, we got candy, we got candy, we have candy, we have candy, we have candy. I love dressing up. My favorite costume dressing up was always a princess or a cat. I was never a witch growing up. I was always something appropriate or something cute, like a princess or a cat, all right? So people go trick-or-treating as an offering for the dead. People go trick-or-treating as an offering for the dead. Pagans used to fear that pagans used to fear that those people that they had a problem with in life would haunt them at death, that they would return to haunt them. So they would leave out food for the dead to appease them, to keep the peace with them, so they would not bother them, so they would not haunt them, so they would not try to make entryway into their home and cause chaos. Like I told you before, on Halloween, today, Halloween, Samhain, not everybody, listen very carefully, not everybody you see, careful, listen, not everybody you see in costume on Halloween is alive as you and I. Some of the people you see in costume are actually dead. It takes an incredible amount of energy to manifest to look as real, as alive as you and I. Just a lot of energy. Just a lot of energy for a ghost to look as flesh and blood as you and I, to look as solid as you and I. It takes a lot of energy. Most ghosts, most of the time, they look transparent. They look see-through. They do. They absolutely do. But on rare occasions, and I do mean very rare occasions, they may look as solid, as real, as alive as you and I. It depends on how much energy they can, get. And the last thing, bobbing for apples. I never bobby for apples because, you're using other people's spit in a bucket of water. So I never personally bought for apples because I thought that was just so gross. Like someone just had their tongue in the water and no, I just wasn't doing it. I was not bobbing for apples. But for those of you who do want to bob for apples, let me tell you about it. So bobbing for apples came from the practice of getting the spirit of the dormant goddess, the crone basically. To capture this sacred fruit, the apple, was to ensure her continued presence and goodwill, even though she would be in mourning for her mate until Yule on December 21st. I don't bob for apples. I can't. So, because today, Samhain, is the celebration of the last harvest before we really start to enter winter, it was considered unwise to eat any fruit or grain that had been left after you have harvested it. So let me say this again. About bobbing for apples. Bobbing for apples came from the practice of capturing the spirit of the dormant goddess. To capture the fruit sacred to her, like the apple, was to ensure the goddess's continued presence and goodwill, even though the goddess is in mourning for her mate, the sun, until he will rise again on December 21st, otherwise known as the Witches' Sabbath, Yule. December 21st is the first official day of winter. You see, witches follow the calendar. So we focus very much on changing nature. How nature has changed. Witches move and flow with the changing seasons. We right now are in the season of autumn. Right now, it is autumn. Okay, it's autumn right now. Today is October 31st. Today is Halloween. Today is Samhain. Samhain is the witches' new year. Samhain is the time to communicate with ancestors, loved ones, and pets that have passed away before you. It is today, October 31st, 2023, the witches' new year. I'm excited for what is to come in the months ahead. I'm excited for you for the months to come ahead if you happen to be a witch. And I know that if we as witches stay under the covering of Hecate, the queen of witches, what's evil may be happening in the world will not happen to us. Why? Because Hecate protects her own. Always. So now let me present to you the third ritual of these 3 days of Samhain. Alright, witches, so this is ritual number 3 for these 3 nights of Samhain with myself, High Priestess or Sophinas. I want to thank you, witches, once again for joining me for these 3 days of celebrating our largest Sabbath on our calendar known as Samhain. I do wish you witches a happy Halloween also, and to enjoy the season. And thanks again for taking time out of your morning, your afternoon, or your evening to join me here live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter to celebrate the Witches' New Year. So let's get right into this third Sabbath for these 3 days of Samhain. So this ritual is for success. For this ritual, you need an orange candle and a yellow candle. I am using tea light candles. If you don't have these colors, you can use what you have, or you can use a white candle, because as witches we know that white takes the place of any color candle that we do not have. You need a piece of paper, you need a charcoal disc, you need a pen, you need basil. Yeah, I first have to cleanse these candles, of course, with my essential oil. You can use olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, or vegetable oil, any pure oil. But I'm using my oil that I made myself a couple of months ago that is still fresh and still able to be used in witchcraft. This is my oil that I made by hand. It has the bay leaf, it has the cinnamon stick, it has lavender oil, it has chamomile oil. So I'm going to cleanse my candles here that I've made with it. You have to cleanse your candles to cleanse the energy of anything negative that may have snuck on there. So 3 drops each. 1, 2, 3. 3 drops here. 1, 2, 3. All right. Less is more. You don't have to use a lot. Less really is more. You do not have to use a whole lot. And I'm just going to spread it around a little bit. Make sure it really gets into the wax. Try not to make it touch the wick, because if it touches the wick, you can get a big flame. And do the other one, my yellow candle. Just try to get as much as you can on there. It smells great. This oil that I made, it smells so good. So I have to light these 2 candles. This lighter is so annoying. And light the other one. Just move this. This lighter. Ugh. So both of these candles are now lit. Now I have to light my charcoal disc here. Let's push this back so I have space. I have to light my charcoal disc. And lay it down and let that catch a light. That'll take a couple seconds, maybe a minute. I just love Samhain. I love the time of the year when witches really come to life. Samhain is really the time when us as witches come to life. Just burst forth. Samhain is the time when witches just burst forth. Why? Because witches are powerhouses. Because witches are powerhouses. Don't forget, witches, you do need basil, chopped basil. Do not use bay leaves. And remember, witches, almost all of us have basil in our cupboards, in our pantries. And of course, we can find basil in the grocery store. You don't ever have to go broke. Don't ever make yourself broke by being a witch. Because witches have got to stick within their budget. Don't get so caught up on what another witch has and what you don't have. Because what you have in your pantry, in your house to do witchcraft, guess what, witches? It's just as good. It is just as good. What you have in your pantry, in your house, in your cupboard, is just as good as what you can find on a witch shop online or at a witch store. It's just as good. So now that my chocolate discs have gotten a little bit hot, I'm going to add my basil, chopped basil. Basil represents success. Basil represents success. So we're gonna let that basil burn. I'm gonna get that smoke. Add a little, add a lot. Add as much basil as you can, as much basil as you can fit on a charcoal disc. That's what I would recommend. As much basil as you can put on a charcoal disc. Now that we did these 3 things, we need our pen and our paper. Just move this to the side. Let me close this back so that it's still all the way out. So now on our sheet of paper, we are going to write out the success that we want. So I would say for you witches, not for me, not ever for me, but for you witches, things that you want to be a success. Let's say your business, a successful business. Let's just write that. Successful business, successful marriage. What is basically failing in your life? Successful marriage. Successful career. While you are doing this, visualize these areas being successful. So these are 3 things that most witches want: a successful business, a successful marriage, a successful career. Why? Because having a successful business leads to more money. Having a successful marriage leads to a marriage until death do you part. And a successful career also leads to money, but it makes you not want another career because you love what you do. If you love what you do, it's not a job. It's your lifestyle. It is your life. It is your life. Then I would say the words, Hecate, I ask of you to give me my heart's desire and make my intention successful. May you add your strength to my own as I do my real world actions. I say it 2 more times. Hecate, I ask of you to give me my heart's desire and make my intention successful. May you add your strength to my own as I do my real world actions. Hecate, I ask of you to give me my heart's desire and make my intention successful. May you add your strength to my own as I do my real world actions. So the basil, the chopped up basil, has burned out. Let me show you. Put this book back. See, my basil has burned out for success. Let me take my piece of paper here. You don't have to burn the whole paper, but you do have to burn it. So it looks like this. Successful business, successful marriage. The yellow candle represents happiness. The orange candle represents career driven. It represents businesses. It represents anything that has to do with you moving and doing what you love, doing what you know you are good at. And when I say good at, I mean better than anybody else. That's what I'm talking about. So I have my cauldron here. Let me show you. Well, not that much, okay. I don't need that. Let me just move that out the way, but it's really hot, so I gotta be careful. And just move my orange. And move my yellow. Now I'm going to take my piece of paper and burn it in both colors. Burn it in my yellow and orange candles. And let it burn. Now what you do is take the ashes and bury it on your property because you want to keep it close to you. And then you let the orange and yellow candle burn out by themselves. And then you take the containers that the candles were in and you also bury them on your property. the orange and yellow candles. You let them burn out by themselves. And then you take the containers that they were in and bury it also on your property along with the ashes from this ritual. You take the charcoal disc and also bury it on your property. And along with your real world actions and Hecate adding her strength to your own, you will get the successful life that you intend to have for yourself in your bloodline. So that's all I have for you, witches, for these 3 days of celebrating Samhain with a high priestess. I thank you again for joining me for these 3 days of Samhain to celebrate the witches' new year, to honor our ancestors, to honor our loved ones and our past that have predeceased us. I thank you for being here. I thank you for following me on this journey of the wise, otherwise known as witches. I wish you a happy, abundant, prosperous Samhain, and also a happy, abundant, prosperous months after today. So with all of that being said, witches, thank you so much for giving me your time, for giving up your morning, your afternoon, your evening to celebrate the witches' new year, to celebrate the most important Sabbath on our holiday. And now I release you into the rest of your evening. Bye everyone, and happy Samhain and happy Halloween.